You heard there. Nesty, a man of mystery, you could say at the very least when it comes to what we should expect of him during this series. Need him to step up, though, especially up against Mission. He may have had a quick laugh there that he absolutely got destroyed in mid lane the last time these two teams met. But now, like we mentioned, do or die. There is no bottom bracket to fall to in this position. It's either you make it to Worlds or you're watching from home for the rest of the season. As we start things off, Machi going to be on your blue side of the draft. J-Team on the red. Galio, Twisted Fate, Set being banned out, all directly toward ST. Meanwhile, looks to be the same, actually. We're going to get a Zoe, Syndra, Caitlyn ban, and then the first pick Graves for Gemini.
Yeah, Gemini instantly want to pick that up for himself. Had an amazing performance when we flash back towards the MSS up until now. That's the reason why a lot of the teams really respect and like to ban that out. But instead, we're going to be seeing an interesting hover on towards this Lilia. Hana did pick it out against their Machi series before. Unfortunately, though, it has only won once in that BO5 series.
All right, so we are going to see that Lilia get locked in there for Hana. So we'll see if Nesty and the rest of the crew are able to assist alongside it from that jungle of Hana. And it's also going to be the Senna getting locked in here for Lil V. Again, one of our Senna players in the league, very similar to Unified, has had really good performances on it during these playoffs here in the summer split. We'll see what Machi wish to do here, especially wanting to see what Bruce is going to pick up into this matchup and how he's looking to respond and bounce back after a disappointing performance that we saw yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. 0-2 first for Machi, having to sub in Atlan. But at the same time, I think you and Ibris has talked about it time and time again, and how even though you switch it up, it is still going to be that Ashe pick that Bruce likes to fall back into as a comfort pick. And speaking of comfort picks, you know, Mission back at it again on his Azir, has been banned multiple times during his spring playoff performance. So interested how this is going to pan out, but, you know, that's the PCS Renekton being covered at the moment.
Oh, boy. We have the Azir mission. That makes me happy. The Renekton, the question is, are we going to see the ARAM Renekton that we had during our pause at that level, or are we going to see kind of the PSG Renekton? This, though, coming out from Nesty is kind of a statement, laying down the gauntlet. He said, you know, he had some weird picks. Well, LeBlanc isn't necessarily a weird pick, but it's a weird pick for Nesty.
Exactly. It's extremely weird considering the fact that during around playoffs, a lot of the teams are insanely sure that the games are going to be extending to the 30 to 40 minute mark, and that's what's been happening. That's the reason why our matches recently have been slow. But this is a statement that perhaps Nesty is very confident to make things happen. It is also one of those things that can influence the side lanes, which is definitely, you know, Nesty's cup of tea. But now let's take a look at towards the bans. Rakan being the first one from J-Team side.
Do like that, trying to kind of ban toward Koala. He did bring it out, I believe it was twice during the series yesterday, where he was able to find some good success with it during game 3 and 4 of that series up against PSG. Meanwhile, though, Machi actually going to ban out the Jace. I'm interested to see here. It looks like you have to go with an 80 top lane to try and get some damage in here, or try and go for a brawler, so it kind of makes sense to see that Jace getting banned out. Ezreal, though, not going to be available for Bruce, but we kind of know that it is just going to be an Ashe here, which I'm kind of shocked that J-Team are letting go through.
Yeah, it's very interesting because I feel like J-Team, the reason why they wanted to ban the Ezreal is to remove any sort of additional safety, because if you force Bruce on an Ashe, he is, again, going to be most likely the most vulnerable member on the team, and that's, you know, that's what PSU Talon did yesterday. And now, understandable volley ban, as Hana can pick that up still. Actually, top side rather, onto Rest.
Yeah, you could also see like a wacky top lane Lilia. That is still a possibility, and maybe they got some weird picks along those lines. But for Woody here, we're going to also see that Leona get taken away. And Briz mentioned before the series against PSG, Machi Koala had an undefeated streak on the champion through summer. So just another hard engaged support being taken away from Koala.
Yeah, having to focus a lot, you know, Rakan already down, so what is left for Machi would be the Nautilus, and I think that would be the go-to perhaps. That could be a solid engage, solid, what do you call this, single target engage, if you will, on the side of Machi. That could be open, because considering that not a lot of tanky members on the side of MCX here, so I'm pretty sure they're looking towards that pick instead. Unless it's a Bard. Unless it's a Bard.
We could also just see the Bard. I'd be interested to see a Bard. Instead,
Never
though,
mind.
getting some hard engage, that's kind of the last one available outside of a Thresh, which I think we actually would have preferred to see just to have a little bit more utility. But no, Koala, he's all about getting in there, getting on top of this squishy Senna when possible. And heck, if Hana's running nearby, if he's able to get that depth charge onto that jungle, he may also cause a bit of issues. A lot of squishy carries on the side of Taipei J Team that Nautilus would love to just kind of lock down. For Taipei J Team, question becomes, what do you want to try and pick up for your final pick? We mentioned we want to see kind of a brawler up in the top lane with some physical damage. That Wukong fits the bill, and for Rest, it helps him achieve those high damage numbers that we are accustomed to from this top lane.
Exactly, and again, this Wukong definitely has more use when it comes to the later stages of the game, and again, that is the trend of what's been happening during the playoffs at least. And for Machi, in this redacted pick, it has been 50-50 so far, but at least they do have a lot of frontline, they do have a bit of engage here and there, and a bit of pick potential, if you will, on the side of Machi. For J-Team, a lot of damage, and hoping to see whether or not Hana can get ahead on this Lilia pick.
Yeah, a lot of damage and a lot of just kind of disruption we're going to actually expect out of this composition. That Lilia able to get the Drowsy down, get that sleep. Rest going to be trying to go for those Cyclones in the back, and then you have a LeBlanc trying to find those primary targets. We'll see, though, if they can break through the wall that is going to be PK on this Renekton, as well as the Emperor himself with Mission on the Azir. Again, Machi looking to bounce back after a long marathon of a series up against PSG Talon where they failed to secure a world seed. They have a second opportunity here today, but Taipei J Team, they're looking for revenge from earlier in the playoffs as we load on into the Rip 4 Game 1.
Welcome to Summer's Rift.
And Nesty rocking the top Esports logo there, the TES logo, saying, "All right, I want to join my boy Knight over in China for Worlds." Has to win this series here. Like we mentioned, it comes down to one best of 5. Machi themselves, they're used to high pressure situations. They've often been put to that, one game determines whether or not you're going to win the championship or if you're going to make it to Worlds. Unfortunately, both times that has happened, it has not gone in their favor. So Machi here, we're looking for consistency in these early games, and we want to see a strong bounce back. If we don't get to see a whole lot, there's a high possibility that, Taipei J Team may be able to just jump in and take away these early games and then try and close up this series fast.
Exactly. I think what happened last night is a great indication that Machi really has to win the first game to set the tone of the entirety of the series, or else it's going to be a little bit difficult to be able to bounce back, just as what we've seen from yesterday. And Raptors are going to keep resetting like that.
Yeah, maybe Hana just having a little bit of a mess up himself. It's not the end of the world. We mentioned yesterday, actually, like a Kindred will usually just take that one Raptor. Hana, though, it's not the fastest clear you're looking for, and this is kind of tragic, actually. This is very unfortunate, as Lilia is kind of balanced to be able to do both of those camps at the same time. So when you're not actually doing that efficiently, it's kind of like the Fiddlestick rework, where he was actually balanced around the fact that you could do that. So Hana not having the greatest start. Not in the world, though.
Yeah, not end of the world. He is just behind one camp at least towards Gemini, since he has already finished his Krugs. But we'll have to see, because we see Rest already pushing towards the top side of the map. And we can see potential ganks, early ganks coming from Gemini. So Rest really has to be careful. Good news, though, there is at least an advanced vision ward on towards the riverside. So Rest is going to be fine, at least for now.
Yeah, and Rest is kind of back into his element. We've mentioned before, during our kind of a review show of the regular season of Summer, that Rest, as far as damage numbers goes in the PCS, higher than mid laners. He's up there alongside 80 carries with damage per minute because he loves these brawlers. He loves these big team fight champions where he can actually look to carry, and is one of the main reasons we saw Taipei J Team really come online here during the summer, was kind of that resurgence of Rest looking closer to what he was like back in the previous year of the LMS. Bruce forced to use the cleanse immediately as he did get tagged up there by the Zenith Blade. Re-engage, though, comes out from Koala. Woody, though, hits that level 3 and is going to get himself the extra shielding. Flashing on forward, able to get that quick stun. In comes Hana as well, looking for the play. Woody going down low. Bruce, though, can't take it down as Lil V able to intercept the volley. And neither team going to lose anyone, but that's 4 summoners burned on the side of Machi for the 3. Lil V, the only one remaining with a flash.
Yeah, if that fight went into the long run, I suppose, Machi bot lane will not be able to win that, considering the fact that Lil V at least does have some sort of sustain. Woody is able to survive at least, although I think that is going to be a mini win because, again, no summoner spells already for the bottom side for Machi. Lil V still has some sort of safety, and I guess when Hana decides to visit later on, it might be a little bit more effective. But at the end of the day, though, Mission at least has regained control over the mid-side portion of the map. And this has been the trend of what we saw, at least in the first ever series that J-Team and Machi encountered against each other.
We are going to see, though, because Gemini did have kind of an idea where Hana was on the map because the Lilia did show. He gets to go in there and actually steal away one of the camps. Maybe wants to try and pressure up toward the top side, but it looked like PK actually decided to just head on back to base, wanted to pick up his Vamp Scepter. So they're not actually going to be going for an early dive here on Rest, which we kind of maybe expected pre-level 6. Once level 6 is hit, though, for that Wukong, rather difficult. It's also really difficult to dive, actually, with the Graves, mainly because your autos get interrupted by those towers.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. And the fact that you also have to worry about a seedling just going to be rolling out of nowhere and then activating the sleep in long range. And therefore, yes, Machi will definitely be wary on diving top side as the game progresses once everyone reaches level 6. And I guess it's one of those things where Machi, at least, this is the game state that they're comfy with. Not a lot of action just yet from J-Team. And therefore, they can comfortably scale since that is, again, the name of the plan.
You see Hana actually gets himself pathing toward the top side, but Rest has yet to go back to base, so he himself is going to be just fine. You also see he has been barely touched in this lane. Has himself, again, the 2 quick biscuits. He never really got pressured out, so PK's been, again, I guess, just taking his time. Here in mid lane, though, Nesty wants to go for that chain, a little bit off, and Hana, unfortunately, not level 6, can't really try and bring down the Drowsy onto the Azir. Level 6, though, there for Nesty, may try and get that quick trade in, but instead just backs off, as Gemini is going to be the one that starts up the Dragon.
Yeah, sometimes it's just enough to just proc your Electrocute Force mission to go back to base just in time for the Dragon, but never mind, considering that Machi is just right front first here on their first Dragon of the game.
So there you are, first Dragon secured. Machi able to get objective control, which is to be expected of this team. When we talked a little bit about the matchup yesterday up against PSG, historically they are the team to kind of strike first when it comes to objectives. Usually Gemini is more objective focused before he really tries to actually impact the lanes, unlike Hana. And Hana with that invade, maybe we finally get to see this Lilia, but I really want to see him actually get into a lane and try and make something happen once he hits level 6.
Yeah, I think this is the beginning. We got Rest already with his knockoff.
Snare comes out, but Koala's just fine. But here comes
Never
Gemini,
mind.
is level 6. Lil V does only have level 4, and that's actually going to be the full dive coming on through. Rest, though, going to have that teleport himself, and now that Wukong, with the Cyclone being available, could look to try and go for a play. Over the wall they go. Rest deciding not to flash over the wall. Nesty was coming down the river, but they decide against it, so it's going to be a teleport for a teleport, but no one going down just yet.
Yeah, no summoner spells being traded. Actually, just one, which is Lil V's Flash. Yeah, I think that's a great response coming from Rest, especially that Hana is way over at the top portions of the map. And yeah, just as we mentioned, very hard to dive and hard commit if the Wukong is going to be present over there. And Machi is forced to just back away.
Do note here now, though, this mid lane matchup, we mentioned it was kind of the series breaker back in the first round of playoffs. And Mission at the moment, 20 CS up over Nestea at this point. It is a LeBlanc versus an Azir matchup, but we haven't really been able to see Nestea look for a roam other than when he tried to path down toward that bot lane, but he's super late to the party. And he's already had to use his teleport to get back in lane already once, going double amp to him. So not the prettiest start for the LeBlanc. We'll see how he looks to recover, but if he continues not being able to roam, Mission's just going to start scaling freely, and nothing's going to be able to stop this Azir later on.
Exactly, and we saw this pick in particular, the LeBlanc, fall off during the playoffs, even during spring, because the games are incredibly long, and as well as, you know, having to push the waves coming from Mission here on the Azir. Therefore, Nestea is having a difficult time having to be consistent in the champion itself. We haven't seen this champion in a while. And for now, though, Machi will be satisfied with this, having to put Nestea on a tight chain. But we've seen the bottom side of Machi already rotate for the Rift Herald.
And then with that too, Mission gets that quick push in, also has his blue buff, and like we mentioned, Machi, they are usually focused on that objective game, and they're happy to do so, and unfortunately Nestea just goes back to base again, does pick up a lost chapter at the very least, but he's just going to lose out another wave here as he gets crashed into the tower.
It is definitely very difficult to watch, considering that Machi already won objective check, and even the Rift Herald as well. And since you have a global ult on this OV, on this Senna, Machi is just playing the objective game. Therefore, aren't really capitalizing too much on how much power you have when it comes to the damage department and how much presence you have over the map. It's been very difficult so far as we see Gemini and Hana moving towards the top portions of the map.
Gemini going to be here in case this actually breaks out. BK ends up using the stun, but there's that decent amount of damage. Sleep, though, going to come out from Hana. First blood going on over to Gemini to watch out Eve. Able to trade back the kill, though, as Hana's just going to go ahead and bounce himself back over to safety underneath the tower. And it's a 1-for-1 in the top lane as both top laners get taken down.
And we were talking about the Senna ult. We saw Lil V hide on the brush, but the timing, unfortunately, wasn't there. Therefore, Lil V decided to not pursue that anymore to make it a maybe 1-for-0 trade, but it became a 1-for-1. And therefore, it could have been, a better trade, but instead, it will be a top lane for top lane.
Top lane for top lane. The kills, though, going into the jungle. So for Hana, he's able to get himself onto that scoreboard. We mentioned we need to start seeing this jungle actually make an impact and start getting the ball rolling. One thing to note, though, is this bot lane, unfortunately, Bruce, he is going even, but you never really want to just be even up against a Senna. Nestea getting a nice combo off there onto Mission, getting him down to about half health. But Mission, again, we mentioned, just fine, farming out the wave, and should be going on back here. I think he has enough for his Ludens.
Yeah, exactly. This is the play style. This is the element of Mission, definitely.
Okay.
So again, as long as the map is a little bit peaceful, you were saying?
So instead, Mission wants to go ahead and get Merc Treads, and now Nestea's pretty much not going to be able to do any damage to him at this point, which is not a fun time here for Nestea, as he won't really have a whole lot of burst and a whole lot of just CC available to him. I mentioned Mission maybe going for the Ludens. He is running Comet, so I expected maybe that, but instead goes into the Nashor's build that we expect.
Exactly. I mean, you still have other targets to pursue. You still have Gemini, you still have Bruce, one of the squishiest members still. But you can see that, you know, Bruce already taking that second, already has a stopwatch. Also the support as well, but Rift Herald actually being dropped in.
Able to get that flash off, but like we mentioned, Shelly going to be able to get that charge in, and Mission's going to get himself some extra gold once more. And Machi also looking to set up now for the second dragon of the game. And Taipei J-Team a little bit late for this response. We'll see, though. Hana now going to path in through the entrance, puts down the seed. Not actually going to be able to land other than that. Mission, though, looking for the Emperor's Divide. Hana does flash himself back over to safety. Solar Flare trying to land onto Mission. Mission using his flash to get over toward the side of the wall. And now a possible re-engage is Koala on that front line. PK's roam down all the way down. There comes the arrow from the Bruce. It lands over onto Woody, but that's just all it's going to be. Rest has rejoined, has Flash and Cyclone, but instead, neither team going to lose a member. Second dragon of the game goes over to Machi.
Yeah, Machi definitely wins that exchange. Even though, let's just say they are able to exchange summoner spells, at least Machi was able to secure the dragon. It's unfortunate too, because I think the best part there is that they baited the flash of Woody before the fight even started. So therefore, any sort of flash zenith play is not going to be available for Taipei J team to reach these targets from Machi.
Yeah, Mission actually getting a really good flash there at the last moment. We'll take a look at the replay. How this all starts is Taipei J team, they really want to try and make this play happen. Mission just a little bit too close. And you actually see that flash right there. Takes him out of the solar flare.
Yeah, I mean, that wall was great for Mission. Therefore, Han is unable to do a follow-up attack. But at the end of the day, just as you mentioned, the flash with me, Sophie was a little bit separated from the fight because Bruce had a mini 1v1 with Lil V earlier. But Lil V had run out of mana, had to walk away, had to back away. And Machi, again, very satisfied with the game state currently at the moment.
Yeah,
it comes back down to, unfortunately, like Nesty, we haven't just seen him really be able to get a good roam off. We really kind of expect, 20 minutes, you want to see about 2 kills on that LeBlanc, kind of similar to a Lilia. Well, unfortunately, it's just been a rather slow, passive game, and for Machi, this is an environment that they excel in because they get to take control of the map for the first 15 minutes of the game, get themselves the objectives. We already mentioned, got the Rift Herald earlier, has 2 dragons underneath their belt, second Rift Herald's going to be spawning soon. Maybe we get to see Taipei J team try and answer, but if we don't see anything on this next Rift Herald, Machi, once they hit those first items, especially like this board coming online for PK, Nasher soon for Mission, it's going to be rather difficult for Taipei J team until they have to wait for this Lilia as well as this Senna to fully come online.
Exactly, you're expecting the Lilia to get ahead, you're expecting Nesty to get ahead. So now LeBlanc is going to be relegated into, I thought a teleport was coming. Anyway, I thought they are relegating Nesty into more of a finisher. If anyone is lethal, then that's going to be LeBlanc's job to finish. But then, still, Mission going to be incredibly scary, especially he has been comfortable in the first 14 minutes of the game.
See there? Collateral damage able to do a decent amount. It looks like they really wanted to try and force that tower. Not able to get it just yet, but especially once that mid lane tower goes down, Nesty, any kind of agency he would have in the midsection of the map, kind of just disappears. We do see, though, Hana able to land the Seedling, but a next push going to come on in. Dredgeline not going to connect. First brick going on over to the side of Machi, and a solar flare from Woody. A little bit grasping at straws right now. You can start to see a little bit of panic maybe starting to set in for Taipei J team.
Exactly, because they're, I wouldn't really say frustrated, but of course they're a little bit desperate to find an exchange somewhere because Machi already building towards Soul Point, and because that Solar Flare is not available, then Machi is going to be comfortable to pursue the Rift Herald anytime soon. And again, their win conditions are not actually getting ahead just yet, and therefore J team is just looking for these nooks and crannies to see whether or not they're able to find an opening for themselves.
I'm also going to kind of take a note here. This is an extremely early Executioners coming out from Lil V. And I'm not really sure what you're using it for. I guess Blade of the Ruined King kind of lifesteal for this Ashe and the Renekton. But other than that, no one else on the team has lifesteal. So a bit early, kind of delays him. He could have went into his tier. He's already got the Muramana, but he could start working towards, say, the Rapid Fire. So a little bit of an odd choice there for Lil V, but Rift Herald being taken by Taipei J team kind of means that, hey, Machi, they get to slow down just a little bit, and this is what we wanted to see starting to come out of J team.
Yeah, at least J team is able to get that away from Machi, considering that Machi has a lot of control all over the map established already. So they'll be happy with that.
Woody gets caught out. Koala, though, brings back the snare. Some decent damage, though, coming out from Mission. Has that Nasher's Tooth online. And also going to go ahead and put down the tower in mid lane. You can see Woody just getting chunked out. His Mission almost able to find himself a kill. No flash being burned. Meanwhile, bot lane, though, Bruce able to freely hit away at the tower and bot. It looks like Koala is going to be nearby. Let's see if Nesty can actually try and make something happen here before Bruce gets himself back to safety. Double distortion. Chain, though, does not connect, and Bruce is able to walk away safely.
Able to walk away safely. Machi also does have first dibs on the river portion of things. Therefore, again, building in towards that third dragon for themselves. And we've yet to see a setup from Rest. We are looking forward towards, this monkey having a setup for the rest of the team. But we'll have to see as a
Solar
fight
Flare.
goes on.
Mission gets himself back to safety. It's going to be that arrow immediately, though, onto Woody. Goes in stopwatch.
Rest.
Rest rejoins in onto the fight. Emperor's Divide keeps Mission safe, but another Cyclone going to land. ST looking for the kill. Not going to find it, though. Finally gets through and gets the shutdown. Finally onto Mission as ST finally gets himself onto the board. Gets himself a double kill. Meanwhile, though, PK looking to respond. Gemini found a double kill for himself as well. Woody's going to be tracked down by the Renekton shortly as PK at least is able to trade back. Snare not going to land. Now Lil V kind of realizes maybe he's not in the best position. Goes into the Wraith form and is able to get himself back to safety. Meanwhile, though, Gemini resumes back to the Dragon. This will set up Machi for Soul Point on the next spawn. We do get to see, though, this LeBlanc finally get onto the scoreboard, even when Mission is dominating the matchup by 40 CS.
Yeah, definitely. JT will be happy about that, as just as you mentioned, at least Nesty is able to get kills at least off of that fight, but it doesn't change the fact that Machi won this one. And it all boils down to how amazing Rest setup is, but the Emperor's Divide denies that. The fact that PK is just untouched in the backline makes it even harder for the carries of J-Team to make things happen, even though Rest had an amazing setup at the beginning, at the first few seconds of that spin.
And these kind of fights, it's really hard for Mission to kind of navigate. You had that Solar Flare comes in, he has to use his shuffle to get back to safety, had to then use the flash once Rest kind of actually gets himself into that back line. And then he doesn't really have anything to set up for his Emperor's Divide, and it's really hard for him to kind of set up around his soldiers. We also saw there Bruce able to get a little bit of damage with this Ashe. Still going to be a little bit before she actually gets some damage off. Once she has Runa and she's able to kind of contest, but not a bad kind of turnaround here for Type A J-Team. We mentioned we want to see about 2 kills onto this LeBlanc. Well, Nesty finally has them. Do note, though, Mission farming up a storm right now. More than 210 CS before 20 minutes.
Yeah, definitely. Mission is going to be the biggest problem for J-Team in the later matches, especially if, J-Team wants to contest the next Dragon, which they would love to deny away that Earth Soul against Machi, which would leave Nesty in an opposition.
Getting a little bit too aggressive here, possibly. Gets himself back to safety. Collateral damage will take him on down. He's all Rest into the backline. Set ultimate will take down Bruce in the meantime. Mission still full health. Already used the Emperor's Divide. Able to get some damage. Lil V going down low. Mission now, though, looking for the Klima. It's going to be that stun coming out from Woody, though, and Woody is going to be sacrificed for the rest of his squad. As Mission finds himself a kill. PK looking to hunt down Lil V. Root's gonna land, and that should allow the Senna to get back to safety, unless he passed directly in toward the PK once again, as Lil V now does at least get himself underneath the tower. Take a look, though, toward your gold ranking, and that is not what you want to see if you're a Type A J-Team fan.
Crazy. The top 3 laners. You got Gemini, Mission, and PK at the top of the gold charts. And we did mention Mission would be the biggest problem, but their current problem would be this Renekton. And that's the reason why J-Team decided to pull the trigger, because it was a 4v5 situation. PK was not around during this fight, but unfortunately, they even lost, even though it's prolonged, because Gemini is able to assassinate Nesty, even though it was an exchange off of that 80 carry. Mission was still very much alive as well to deal the necessary damage to finish off J-Team and force them to retreat.
Yeah, and ST, he's very much, I have to get somebody before I die, and unfortunately they were able to get Bruce low enough that Lil V was able to finish it off, especially when you go into this Ludens. You're pretty much just saying, all right, I'm going to try and burst Mission or Bruce at the start of the fight and try and hope that works out. Because Gemini, already picking up his Black Cleaver, has that extra little bit of health into the build. Also has some cooldown reduction to keep himself safe by just being able to backtrack if necessary. And it comes down, all right, Nesty, are you able to find a flank? This reminds me so much of the series when Machi played up against PSG back in spring, when they were up against Candy, who pretty much all the games decided on whether or not LeBlanc could find a massive flank.
And I feel like that on and off performance of the LeBlanc in general forced a lot of the mid laners to veer away from that pick in general. And therefore, I would say, air quote, very brave for Nesty to pick this up. Still, though, the potential of assassinating lethal targets is still there. And therefore, since, again, a lot of squishy members on the side of Machi. And we'll have to see, because so far, though, Machi already at soul point in the next minute or so, as J-Team hoping to see if they can win a fight, set up a fight that they would like, maybe get a pick before at least, or send someone home, but teleports are already up for Machi in preparation for this next objective.
I saw Hana there looking to fish with the seed. We got to kind of really, oh, if he actually hit that brush, it would have been disgusting.
Perfect.
Instead, though, not going to happen, as Machi are able to get themselves back. Mission as well, looking for the reset. The Azir is going to be able to tear through, and for Taipei J-Team, kind of have to respond here. You're now down 4,000 gold at 23 minutes. You're looking at Mountain Soul for the side of Machi, and PK is already in this bot lane trying to pressure back Rest and force them to use his ultimate before the start of the fight. Mission going to come in itself, goes in with the Azir. Emperor's Divide, able to find the knockup, actually puts Rest to safety. Meanwhile, though, Koala with another engage. Bruce able to land again that arrow onto Nesty. Nesty gets himself back over to safety. Mission flashing on forward. It's a double kill for the Azir. Over the wall they go. Koala is able to land in. Bruce gets himself a kill. And Taipei J-Team, they lose 3 members ahead of this 4th dragon spawn. That should be Mountain Soul for Machi outside of a massive steal from Hana.
One word, fearless for Machi. You saw Bruce is already in everyone's faces on J-Team. PK, even though he was already in possibly lethal damage from one combo of Nesty, he was just moving forward. Relentless, fearless. And I think that's a huge problem. It's a huge statement because PK is able to pressure Rest. You got a teleport play coming from Mission, even though the Emperor's Divide was to zone him away instead of putting him in the opposite direction of his own team. It still worked out because Koala was there, Bruce was ready for the collapse, and unfortunately, J-Team was not prepared for this fight.
Yeah, pretty much at that point, if I'm Taipei J-Team,
Bruce!
you see, yeah, Bruce flashed over the wall. He got hyper aggressive using his cleanse as well. But once you see Rest have to use his ultimate, Taipei J-Team at that point, they're like, okay, let's just cut our losses. We're not going to be able to contest a fight without Rest having that Cyclone to knock up the backline of Machi. And speaking of things that are getting disgusting, Mission almost has a 3-level advantage over Nesty on this Azir as he continues just to farm up and also has his Ludens completed. Not Ludens,
Yeah,
Leandres.
Exactly. Leandrin's completed, been farming left and right, pushing the waves in the side lanes, and it's been very difficult. J-Team looking for a pick. Guess it's not possible because Machi bot lane is nearby towards Gemini, and it makes things harder. And they were looking towards the combo, looking towards that Cyclone to set up for the team. But unfortunately, J-Team is not finding these opportunities, and now Machi looking for more control at the upper portions of this map.
So Machi on toward the top side. With Mission, they can burn down this Baron fast. Also on top of that, they have 2 Blades of the Ruined King. So this Baron can be very, very fast, even though we're only at 25 minutes. Machi, though, looking to at least set themselves up. Need to get rid of this vision line. Nesty could look for an assassination onto Gemini, but you see Gemini having that extra bit of shielding from that Mountain Soul. They can't really do a whole lot. Dredge line going to connect, and then instantly Nesty just gets blown apart by the combo of Machi. Rest forced to use his Cyclone. You know what's going to happen. It's now Baron for Machi.
Yeah, he just exploded and couldn't do anything from the CC chain. And we'll have to see because Hana doesn't have Flash. He will not be able to try to steal this. And for Koala, he's doing his job having to zone everybody away.
That's all he really needs to do here. Solar Flare is going to land onto 3 members. In comes the center ultimate. But no, Baron's going to get secured now. Re-engage coming out from that dredge line is that's going to be Woody getting taken down. Rest's going to try and get some damage onto this mid lane tower, try and get some priority. But at this point, Machi can start to look to take over this game completely. A 9,000 gold lead, Baron buff in hand at 26.5 minutes.
And J-Team looks very sporadic at the moment because I think Nesty didn't really intend to die there because what J-Team wanted to wait for was Machi pulling the goal lever of, pursuing the Baron, and then the Baron pit would have been perfect for that solar play, would have been perfect for the Seeds for an easy grouped up sweep, but no. Unfortunately, Nesty had to fall from that, and J-Team, unfortunately, is unable to fight this 4v5.
And at that point, it's just trying to salvage this in some capacity, but even then, Baron maybe a little bit late on the smite there from Gemini. Actually, we see it's actually on cooldown already, so maybe used it in the skirmish. There was maybe a possibility of a steal. But nonetheless, Machi, we wondered whether or not this team was going to be able to recover after an exhausting 10-hour series yesterday between them and PSG Talon. It appears the answer is yes, at least in this first game. We have seen instances, though, where this team starts to falter over the course of a series, so we'll have to see whether or not they can maintain this and at least close things out. But Mission, he's huge at this point, has Ludens now completed alongside the Leandries, continues to just farm up, almost flame horizoning Nesty before the 30-minute mark.
Exactly, he's showing his dominance on this Azir pick and showing why back in spring it was 100% ban against Mission. That's the reason why we've been seeing a lot of Corki back then, a lot of Macaulay's back then during our spring playoffs. And now it's open. Now the King has risen back again, and now JT is having a difficult time having to deal with this, as just as you mentioned earlier, a big level deficit on the side of Nesty against his enemy mid laner.
Solar Flare comes out. Bruce uses his cleanse zone immediately, turns back, tries to go for the play on Rest, but Dredgeline does not connect from Koala. As again, Siege will come through. That tower should get taken down here on this push unless Rest tries to make a play. Gemini could get drowsied by Hana. Not going to happen, though. And just like that, Machi able to crack open the inhibitor tower, and the inhibitor itself via mid lane. Nesty trying to do what he can in the top side of the map, but J-Team's base starting to get scarred.
Big value. 15 seconds left on the clock, but that's 2 inhibitors down. J-Team goes in.
There we go. Engage comes down. Nesty onto that backline, gets himself back to safety. He is exhausted. Woody now has to flash out back to safety, and you just see on the side of Machi, they're taking no damage at this point. Flash forward coming out from PK. He takes down Hana, and with that Azir, they can melt these towers. Nesty off the fountain, gets sent back immediately. And Lil V has to hold the base, but for this poor Senna, it's just too early for her to scale back up. And like that, Machi making a statement in game 1. Take down Taipei J-Team, pre-30 minutes.
What a convincing win coming from Machi, especially this is currently their play style. This is where they shine, and this is where they're able to do work. And really happy to see what Machi did. They're not pressured at all. They just played to their win conditions, and J-Team was left very rattled in the first game.
Yeah, I kind of have to ask here for the side of Taipei J-Team. This composition, you rely on Nesty, you rely on Hana, and Hana has been good, usually on the Lilia. It usually draws ban in their series, but this time it felt kind of non-existent. Nesty, he got pushed in so hard in that mid lane, he never really got to roam. It looked like there was a glimpse of hope after he got those 2 kills off that kind of ugly skirmish Machi decided to take. But unfortunately, Mission continues to farm. There's no pressure coming out of this mid lane. And ST, I have to wonder, you know, you said you had weird picks.
Yeah.
I want to see them.
Yeah, LeBlanc has been, I guess he picked it once or twice back in spring, and obviously a little bit uncomfy with it, especially when you're up against Mission. And we didn't really see the 2v2 that we wanted to see. Get the Lilia, get the LeBlanc ahead, just because of Mission's presence in the mid lane. And again, if you see Bruce flashing and cleansing into 3 people, you can tell that the game was over by then.
And with that, MVP, yeah, sure, give it on over to Mission. Fine with that. He had himself a really good game on that Azir. Wasn't really pressured is the issue, so we'll see whether or not Taipei J-Team can prevent that one from happening, but starting things off very nicely here for Machi, bouncing back from their loss they suffered yesterday to the hands of PSG.
Yeah, exactly. Very refreshing to see Machi being able to play to their own style, because when they faced against PSG Talon, they were forced to, again, dance in the tune of what PSG Talon likes to do. Just very pretty much action non-stop. Here, they're able to breathe, and again, having to shut down Nesty is also having to shut down Hana, therefore Hana unable to make his own pick work as well.
So now question kind of becomes, all right, heading into game 2, do you just try and look and change up this draft, or, you know, try and just take away some of these pocket picks? Because unfortunately, it just seems like trying to play via Nesty doesn't really work out too well for the team. Rest, he was on something that he loved to play, something like this Wukong, but unfortunately when the team is so far behind or still trying to scale like Lil V was with that Senna, he can't really do a whole lot, and it's really hard for him to carry this game.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, J Team's center is definitely, especially at the early to mid phases of the game, is definitely next to Kana.
Well, we're going to go ahead and take a short break when we come back. Game 2 between Machi Esports and Taipei J Team.
CTBC Bank is Taiwan's top financial institution, but we're not stopping there. We're crafting an international brand and already have over 260 outlets in 14 countries. We are by your side, ready to embrace the future.